catch my breath. I just sat down to start the session, and then they called me down 3 stories to reception. Me with my one hobble leg at the moment. That took some time. And just to add fuel to the fire, I broke my big toe on my left foot, which is not the leg they operated on in January. I think it's just not my year so far. Anyway, lots of people much worse off than I am. We're right where we need to be at the start of the week, full of energy, well rested, and believe it or not, neither the Bulls or the Stormers or the Sharks lost this weekend because none of them played. Congratulations to all the Chelsea supporters. There were a few people who were anxious on Friday. You are permitted to wear your Chelsea clothes for the rest of this week. But only that, nothing else. Right, welcome everybody. I've got a student on campus in front of me, the only one. Unfortunately, I have to be as theatrical as I can this morning because our projector is not working. So unfortunately, there's no images for him on his screen or the screen in classroom. But I want to start off this session to remind you of 2 very important things. And the one being the fact that we're entering the last 2 weeks of this semester. I think you guys might find at this point, I think this is week 10, week 9, week 10, I think, of the course. I think we're on even weeks this week, yeah, it's week 10. It flew past. I usually, around about this time of year, or usually throughout my life, when the French Open started in Paris, or starts in Paris every year, I usually get anxious because that means it's the end of May. That means that we've almost reached the middle of the year. It means that the US Open golf is going to happen within the next 2 weeks, and then we'll follow by Wimbledon, and then basically the year's gone because then you start the second semester. And that's where we are, people. That's the reality check. We are very close to the end of this module. As a matter of fact, we've completed the academic curriculum that's expected of us to complete for this module to introduce you to business marketing. But also important is that now we start with the serious revision part. We're going to go through every single chapter that we've covered in the module so far. But more importantly, it puts some additional responsibility on you as students. To avoid us from rushing through every chapter and just repeating the lecture that we did 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, it is important, and I forgot to tell you that on Friday. It is very nice, and it's highly recommended that you go through your slides, go through your own personal notes, chapter by chapter, in preparation for a revision session. It is important. I will obviously highlight the important aspects in each chapter again as we go through each chapter, but it is important for me to also specifically address any concerns, any questions, any concepts that you are struggling with that you want me to spend more time on. Okay, so for that particular purpose today, I'm just going to ease through chapter 1 again, try and recap where we anticipated we'll be now when we started off at the beginning of the semester. In other words, what we wanted to achieve through this module, and hopefully going through this second time around, a lot of the pennies would start dropping for some of us, It is important, again, just to reflect before we continue on what we want to achieve in the next 2 weeks. There will be feedback sessions on assessments that you have done in preparation for your exam on the 28th of June. There will be, I'm going to try and get my hands on as many old exam papers to assist you with your preparation. But that's the main focus at this point. You've done your first test, your formal test. I've marked it, it's being moderated, and the results will be out as soon as possible. You've completed your first assignment, you've submitted it, I've started marking it. The next focus is your exam. The reason why it's important, if we can remember from our introduction session during your first week, it carries 60% of your module mark. Everything that you've done up to this point, class tests that we have written, I still have to mark the final one. I think, no, the final one's today, isn't it? No, I can't remember. I'm sorry. My mind's a bit moggy at the moment. But all 4 class tests that you wrote, the formal test that you wrote, the assignment you submitted, all those marks combined carry a weight of 40% towards your total mark for this module. The exam on the 28th of June, 3-hour paper, 100 marks, a nice spread, and I'll go into more detail closer to the time, a nice spread of short questions, case study questions, multiple choice questions, true or false questions. It's a nice spread, and it covers all the chapters that we've done this year, where your formal test was just on chapter 1, 2, 3, and 5, I think. Okay, so chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which we have done since your formal test, is important, but all the chapters that we've completed will be covered in your exam. At this point, any questions, anybody in particular? Any specific questions that you might have? Are you all good? Right.
Jaco?
Andre.
The final exam, is it all online as well? Eh?
Yes, your exam is online as well. I know that we had to complete the Excel spreadsheet for management, which they'll convert and mail out to all the students to indicate to you the duration of the paper, if it's online or not. So yes, that they've received that information from us. I can confirm that it's an online exam again. The fact that we are nearing the third wave, some provinces are already experiencing the third wave of the virus, leaves us with a lot of unpredictability, and as a result of that, it's sensible to rather make decisions now, like the president has announced last night as well, that doesn't disrupt anything in the semester. So the semester itself is going to be completed in this particular module, and I'm not sure about your other modules. I think you can ask your lecturers the same question, but I just went through, browsed through the total exam timetable, and it didn't appear to me as if any exams, except where there's for the IT students who need to do practical work, and for the graphic design students who need to do practical work, and for students second or third years who need to do presentations, for instance, one-on-one presentations, that it's going to be campus-based. It's all going to be online. And this module definitely will be online quiz like you did for your formal test, yes.
It's an open book test, actually.
I can say closed book, but I mean, how can I control that?
It doesn't matter. It's still a lot of work. Yes.
The fact of the matter is, Andre, and I think it applies to many other students as well. My personal opinion about open book or closed book is, if you're writing an online exam, there's no ways that I can actually police police it to such an extent that I know that you've used your that I know that you have used your PowerPoint slides. Maybe you've got an additional monitor at home that you can have open while you're doing your tests. You can have your textbook next to you. You can have your own class notes next to you. There's no way that we can actually police that. But the exam, therefore, is also structured in such a manner that you still have to know where to find it in your textbook.
Yeah.
and second,
open book or closed book, it's you still have to do the work. And I must say, I mean, I think I probably learned the most from the tests.
You actually do, because it exposes you to the way in which the questions are structured. But yes, I think open or closed book, it's you still have to know where to find what. If I ask you to do a SWOT analysis for me, you still have to, even you know what the SWOT analysis is, or you know where to find it in the book. If it's chapter 2 or 3 or 5 or 6, it will take you time. And I think that is one of the most important lessons. The time would be sufficient if you know your work.
Yes, where to find it as well.
Yeah. If you are going to use your textbook as a resource, and it's going to take you 5 minutes to find the correct chapter, it's 5 minutes of your own time that you've stolen, so to speak. Another way in which questions can be structured to avoid students from just using the textbooks, and not that, as I said, you can use your textbook if you want to, because I mean, as I said, I can't police it, but the wording of a question that requires you to use your own words to give a definition is what opens the opportunity for you to copy what's in your textbook, but you're not going to get marks for it because it's not your own work. Okay, so that's a way in which we can address certain concerns, or issues like that, where students just go back to the textbook and they copy and paste, basically. Yeah, you can do that, but you're not going to get marks for it, because if the question says use your own words to explain to me what marketing means, then you have to use your own words. Anyway, so we'll have a very thorough 1 hour session preparation for your exams. The last session we have before you break for your study leave.
Jaco, please, just please get those tests for us.
I'm going to try and get as many of them as possible. Yes, and I'm also going to. Sure.
It also help us to get past having to have the book with you to get the.
I think it's also. I know that when I wrote my matric, because it was so long ago, those options weren't available. But I'm pretty sure it was the case with you as well, Andre. But most of the Gen Zs, they are used to platforms that provide them access to old exam papers. I mean, 5-6 years running, and I know that the matric exams, the papers go through a 5-year cycle. It only changes every 5 years as the curriculum changes, and obviously you can only ask so much, and that's the other challenge, and that's the easy part actually and that's a sort of a helpful guide for students. Remember, there's only so much that I can ask. There's only so much information in the different chapters. If you go through the chapters, you can very quickly pick up that the important things in chapter 1 is the different management philosophies or orientations towards marketing. The second one, the environment. The environment will deal with the external environment, the internal environment, and the different methods to analyze the factors and forces that impact and influence the business in those environments. And so you can go on. When the chapter says understand the consumer, then you know it's going to be related to the consumer. And then there's always, and that's the learning guides that we find at the start of every chapter. On page 1, it gives you the learning outcomes. What do we want to achieve in this chapter? if that is the starting point in your preparation for any test or exam, it gives you a breakdown of what the important aspects are in that chapter that will be covered. If you only attend to those, you're well on your way, because the learning outcomes provide you the look into the chapter ahead. And I would recommend that you use that as a starting point with all your chapters. But yes, the heading of each chapter, the title of each chapter throughout this module indicates to you what we are going to focus on in that particular chapter. If it's the marketing mix for services, it says that. If it's on production or the different product decisions that you have to take, it's about the different types of products we can find, consumer products, or if it's industrial products, is it where in the product life cycle does that product find itself? Decisions that you have to take related to the product. Remember and that's why this session of reflection to start our revision period is so important, because you have gone through the course now, you know what has been covered. There are some areas that you feel more comfortable with than others, but then also importantly is that now it gives us the opportunity to reflect on those aspects that have troubled us. There are some chapters in this module that I enjoy teaching more than others. There are chapters in this module that you have probably enjoyed learning more than others, and that is the case with every single module that you do in any course. I didn't like all the subjects I had as part of my studies at university. There are some ones that you favor, that you enjoyed more, and that's just the nature of learning. But I think importantly for us now is to take the index of your textbook, and that table of contents are going to show you what the most important aspects is that is covered in every chapter. And it again is summarized at the start of every chapter when you do your learning outcomes.
I just wanted to make us great. You know what I mean? I just want to do well at this and understand.
If you didn't have that attitude, I would have been concerned, because that should be everybody's approach to any module that they do, even those that we hate, like accounting, right? And I say that from personal experience. No reflection on our current accounting lecturers or the module. Accounting is accounting. It's like maths. You like it or you don't like it. You're good at it or you're not good at it. You're anxious about the exam or you're not. And let's face it, most of us are anxious before a maths and an accounting exam, because it's not an easy subject. But then on the other hand, I think the important thing for us is to start this session with the right intention of coming to class prepared. I also want to reach out to the students who, for various reasons, have joined the course late, circumstantial, most of it. They are playing catch up as we go along. They know that I'm available for them to assist them with any issues that they have. But I specifically over the weekend emailed them individually just to ensure that they understand the importance of the following 2 weeks, because some of the work they missed out, and the only option they have is to look at the slides and to listen to the recordings and to contact me individually. So they are getting an opportunity now as well with you for work that has not been that they've not been that they've not done through direct contact, to do that now. But I think it's an opportunity for us again to sit back and take a deep breath and say, right, It's like running the 800 meters. Where's the athletes amongst yourselves? I hated the 800 meters. I hated 400 meters. I actually hated the 100 meters. But you know what? You become used to it. The more you do it, the more you become used to it. And it's like playing a game of football or playing a game of rugby where you are not in the game in the first half, but you are still in the game because there's still a second half left. Let's treat this next 2 weeks where we are going to do a lot of preparation and revision for with the main purpose of preparing you the best we can for your exam, to give yourself the best opportunity to do your absolute best in the exam. Let's take that approach to these sessions as well. Okay. Now, having said that, what is marketing? What is marketing? I'm not sure if I asked this as a question in a test, but I know that at some point, or it could be one of the other groups that I'm lecturing on marketing to, that it was included in their paper. What is marketing? Because if we don't understand what marketing is, it's very difficult to understand what your purpose is for doing this module and what we are going to and what you as marketers should know. What have I said from the first session when we started off? Where do you start in marketing? What's the most important component of marketing? Why do we do marketing? Ask yourself that question.
Make money.
That's the end goal. Yes, that's the benefit for the organization who are doing the marketing. Yes,
you have to get a product to the client ultimately.
Yep, part of it. But what's the most important component of marketing? Why are we doing marketing?
So,
not what's yes.
Isn't it to get more customers?
It is to get more customers, but before we get more customers, we need to do what?
Oh, yes, I'm stressing already about this exam, eh? I can't even answer this thing.
You need to get customers. You need to get a customer in the first place. How can you keep and get more customers if you have no customers? The most important thing about marketing, the reason why there is such a thing as marketing, is because of the consumer. It's because of the customer. Because all our marketing efforts, whatever angle you take, whatever definition you have for marketing as a concept, there's one thing. If we do not have customers, we don't have anybody to communicate to and tell about our products, regardless of what medium and what methods of communication we use. The most important thing about marketing is to try and satisfy the needs of customers. If we satisfy the needs of customers, yes, we'll get more customers because then we can keep them. If we satisfy the need of a customer, we increase our chances with 100% that they will return and buy our products again. If that happens and it repeats itself, they eventually become loyal and they're not even going to think about any other products but ours. So if you want to break down the definition as it is in your textbooks, which says that it's the process by which organizations satisfy the needs of customers by creating, communicating, and satisfying or providing delivery of value to customers in the form of ideas, goods, and services to facilitate satisfaction and through the exchange in the relationships between the customer and the company, which is mutually beneficial. Customer satisfaction refers to the fact that the customer is happy that their problem has been fixed, their need has been satisfied, and it means that you have made a sale and therefore your business makes a profit. The mutual beneficial outcome of an exchange relationship between a customer and the business is that customers' needs are satisfied. Businesses are making sales and making money. That is the outcome of our marketing efforts. But our marketing efforts only exist because the customer has a need that that we will see in chapter 3 when we deal about the consumers and how consumers behave. Different things motivate consumers. The situation in which they find themselves can dictate how desperate the specific need is that needs to be satisfied. But a customer without a need is of absolute no meaning to a marketer. All our activities, in other words, all our advertising, all our direct selling, all our public relations, all our publicity, all those efforts that we put in combined is a process of communicating to our customers, current customers as well as new customers, that we have a product, where they can find it, and what the price of that product is, to hopefully persuade them to buy our product and not the product of our competitors. And in the process, they satisfy the need that they have expressed, and we satisfy our bottom line, which is to make a sale, make money, and make a profit. If you really want to understand what marketing is, you take that definition on page 7 and you break it up. In the slides, I've highlighted the important operating words in that definition. If you break it down, you can even bullet point it underneath each other. Then you'll understand the proper flow. And I recommend you do that. Take that exact definition as it is in your slides and as you find it in page 7 in chapter 1 in your textbook. And bullet point it underneath each other. And you will have a clear understanding of what marketing is and what is covered in marketing. The main purpose, however, still is to satisfy the customer. Right. Everybody clear? Anybody still any questions on what marketing is? It was included in your slides on slide number 3 in chapter 1. You'll see that there are different definitions, and one was an American definition from the American Marketing Association, and there's also a UK definition from the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and that was just it was just included to show you that there are different definitions for marketing in different parts of the world. However, if you take the essence of each of those, you'll come to the same conclusion, and that is what we've already expressed. So these definitions, American and British definitions, are just additional information for you to support the understanding that of what the most important component is of marketing. Just look at the one at the bottom, the Chartered Institute of Marketing. The management process responsible for identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customers' requirements profitably. Same that we said previously, and the same that you'll find in your definition on page 7. Right. Can I ask you again what the definition of marketing is? Lebo, Candace, Andre, anybody?
The process of delivering a product of value to clients for the purpose of profitability.
Yes.
That's my own words.
That's your own words.
I'm looking at the wall. I promise I didn't read.
Also, just add to that, Andre, to make it complete.
Yes.
You're also required to communicate to the customers, because
okay.
you have to inform.
Okay.
Let's just tie, and this is people where all the loose ends now hopefully start coming together and pennies drop. What was the last chapter what was the, on Friday we finished off with the, how do you market services and why you market services differently than products because of the different characteristics of products and services. The chapter right before that, I think it's chapter, let me quickly, my textbook, it's chapter.
It is 9, I think.
Chapter 10, chapter 9, sorry. Marketing communication decisions. What is marketing communication? Marketing communication's main purpose is to do three things. It's A, to inform the customer. It's B, to persuade the customer. And it's 3, to remind the customer. And that's, if we add that to, and it is actually in our definition. Our definition on the previous slide actually says that. It says that, it says that.
Persuade.
Exactly. It says that marketing is a process by which organizations satisfy the needs of consumers by creating, communicating, and delivering. So just the delivering side itself is sales.
Okay.
Makes if the definition is complete, if creating the interest, okay, that's how we inform them. We inform them about the product mix, the product, the price, where to find it, the place, right? That's creating, and then communicating is through the different advertisements and commercials and direct selling. We are communicating to them so they are aware of it, and through our communication we're trying to also persuade them to buy our products. And then the reminder component is just to indicate that marketing is not just activities that is focused on finding new customers. It's also to remind our existing customers that we are still here, or that we have new products that we want to offer them. Okay, so that's immediately, you can see how you've tied 2 other chapters already to the definition. So if you take the definition, you actually, if you break it up, you'll find that in the definitions, it basically covers everything that we have done through the course. Let's just take, and I'm spending a lot of time on a definition, but hopefully that is the entire table of contents for this module for you. Because marketing is quite simple. If you break it down, if you take the definition on slide 1, which is on the screen now, on page 7, and you break it down, what are the chapters that we are covering in this module? Next chapter we'll be doing is the internal and the external environment. Now, those are all the things that influence us as marketers, that we have to know the impact that might have, because that's how we're going to change our strategy. Otherwise, we're going to communicate to the wrong people, or we're going to communicate through the wrong channel to the right people. Okay? It's like sending a WhatsApp or to a baby boomer. No, you actually want to reach them through Facebook, for instance, because of their particular generation that they represent. The next chapter, also straight from the definition. What is everything about? The consumer. What do we do in chapter 3? We try and understand how the consumer behaves. What's the next one that we do? Segmentation, targeting, positioning. Why are we doing that? So we can actually find the right customers that we have to communicate to. And then we get to the 4 P's of marketing, which is also part of your marketing definition. We do product, we do distribution, which is basically the places. How does a product get from the manufacturer to the consumer? Okay. The price, which is the next chapter, chapter 8. Okay, all of that is hidden somewhere in your definition. And then the marketing communication, chapter 9, it's also in there. And the definition is that we are not just going to sell products, we're also going to sell services. Okay, which is the final chapter we did. So all of that you can get from your definition. If you look at the definition, whatever follows in the next 10 chapters is going to be much clearer for you. Okay, if you watch this recording later, come back to this section where I said this, and hopefully it will make sense.
Thank you.
Right. Hopefully, we've set ourselves on the right path now to ensure that we all know why we are doing this, and what marketing is about. It's about satisfying the customer, and in the same process, satisfying the business that we are working for. Right. There are different marketing philosophies. It's also referred to as different marketing orientations. Now, that basically reflects on the approach that businesses have towards marketing. Your management can have a variety of different approaches, and over time, it has evolved. If you, and I know many of us hate history at school, or hated history at school, and the reason why you hate history is because it's about facts and it's dates, and it doesn't make sense to you because you weren't there to experience it. You know what? The reason why we have history, the reason why we do history is to make sure that we actually learn from history and we can improve on that. If you look at the different management or marketing orientations that we have in chapter 1, it has a historical path that it followed as well. Just after the Second World War, ended in 1945, the whole world was shattered. London was flattened. There's many cities in the world, and it started the rebuilding process. And as they started the rebuilding process, they realized that, you know what, consumers are not going to be too picky. They're going to buy what's available. Okay, so that's where the production orientation or philosophy towards marketing started. We are not interested in what the customer wants. We are going to produce within our capacity. If we can make 100 cars today, we'll make 100 cars today, regardless if there is an order for only for 50. The other 50 will sell eventually as well. So businesses who adopt a production orientation towards marketing are focused only on what they can produce within their capacity. So they are going to always produce at maximum, and that's why it's production. They are producing at maximum capacity. They're looking at themselves. What can they do? McDonald's. How many have you ever complained to McDonald's about maybe one of their products? Anybody? I know that you guys, it doesn't have to be McDonald's. It could be KFC, it could be Burger King, it could be anybody. Have anybody ever complained to any of those businesses about, your fries are soggy and not crispy enough and not flavored enough, or anybody had any complaints like that? I'm pretty sure you have. Come, you don't have to. Anybody?
Someone said KFC old chicken.
Let me scroll down. Sorry, I'm on my chat box is not right to the bottom.
It's Tarquin that said it.
Define old chicken. Like
basically, sir, it's we went
Rubber.
to Towns, one in Adelaide Street, the KFC, and
yeah,
as ordered, as soon as we paid, the lady gave us a barrel of chicken. So I was thinking to myself, the chicken was actually standing because it's so quick. As soon as the payment went off my bank card notification, the chicken was served already.
Yo!
So I tasted it. It tasted old, sir. So it's old chicken.
You're quite right. It can happen. But did you complain?
Yes, sir. I sent an email and they just ignored me.
Exactly. They have a production orientation. Have you had KFC since then?
Ouch.
Yes, sir, but not
exactly. Not old one and not from that store. That's how KFC and these production-orientated businesses work. They are just producing chicken and whatever they're producing as fast as they can within their capacity. And if Tarquin has old chicken, or he thinks it's old chicken or tastes like old chicken, they couldn't care. If I said, well, listen, guys, maybe you should add this and this to your menu, they don't care. They're going to add it to the menu when they feel they want to add it to the menu. So they are going to produce. It's like Apple. When Steve Jobs started Apple, he also said our product is going to be more expensive. It's going to be higher quality, And we are not going to ask the customer what he or she wants. By the time they have decided on what it is that he or she wants, they would have, and I've been able to produce something to satisfy that, they would have changed their minds. They want something different. So we produce this, we set it out into the market, there will be people that buy it. That's the production orientation. So regardless, I'm very sorry to hear about your bad experiences with business, but a business that does not react to the customer's complaint or does not allow them any opportunities to contribute to improving the quality of the product by taking their suggestion. Why offer a suggestion box if you're not going to act on the suggestions? Okay, some of them are not obviously feasible, but if it's a genuine complaint and a genuine solution offered to a problem, and businesses don't take it seriously, then they definitely don't have a customer orientation, which is one of the others. So straight after World War, during the 50s and early 60s, production orientation was the one that was mostly followed by big businesses because they had the capacity to produce in mass, and also they weren't really interested in what the customer wants. They knew that if the customer bought their product, the customer will be satisfied, but what the customer specifically wanted was not really important to them. And then, as a result of this, at some point, if you have that production-orientated approach or philosophy towards the business that you do, you are going to be left with excess stock. Tarkin was a classic example. KFC, they had excess stock from the previous day, and they were going to get rid of that first before they're going to start making fresh chicken. Okay, if there are too many vehicles produced on a particular day, and we produced 100 vehicles a day, only 50 of them were on order, so we left with 50. We produce 100 again tomorrow, and only 50 sell again. Then all of a sudden, we've got 100 vehicles in excess stock. You add that over a period of time. Maybe you run specials, you try to get rid of them, and that's where the sales orientation comes in. Now they are aggressively targeting the consumers with specials and discounts and to get rid of the excess stock. It also is an approach that is often taken by businesses, orientation that is adopted by businesses when they have a new product that they are launching, or an upgrade of an existing product that they have. Cell phones, classic example. Huge specials. I mean, I had 5 conversations last week, to my horror, with Vodacom. I know that I'm ready for an upgrade. I know also what I want. I also know what I want to pay. They were trying to convince me, and they were increasing the deal to a point where I almost couldn't say no, but I did say no, because then to me, I'm not a millennial. I'm also not Gen Z, and therefore I don't need all these gadgets. I need a phone that has good sound quality, that has a good battery life. I don't care how many cameras it have and whatever, and other bells and whistles, because I still use that for that particular purpose. I can understand that there are people who need those other features. It's not me. So my decision when I'm confronted by a marketer, telemarketer, representing Vodacom, I'm going to go for the best deal. Best deal for me at the moment is the cheapest deal that gives me what I want. Okay, everybody's different in that regard, but it again just gives you an idea of what the sales orientation is about. They are aggressively running specials and trying to get rid of the excess stock because they probably have another one or better version or upgraded version that they're going to struggle selling if the old stock is still available, which will obviously be cheaper. Okay, all on the same page at the moment still?
Yeah.
Good. Now, the last orientation that we, or marketing philosophy that we have entertained in this chapter is the one called the marketing orientation. It's also frequently referred to as the customer orientation. If you get a question in a test paper that says, explain to me what the customer orientation is all about. It's the same as marketing. Marketing equals customer orientation. It's the same thing. It's not a different orientation. It's the same orientation. And it is focused on the customer and what the customer wants. Businesses that specifically design something that the customer wants to satisfy that particular need. They have a marketing or customer orientation. Everybody clear on that? We're all good?
Yep.
Right. The marketing concept ties in with what we just said, with the three different business or marketing orientations. It's not separate. It is integrated in and just provides you with a bit more information on each of the different disciplines. I'm not going to go through these particular principles in detail.
Because they're not in the exam.
Excuse me?
Because they're not in the exam.
Not necessarily.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right. You need to just know what each of these different principles are. But as I said, if you know the business orientations, the marketing orientations, excuse me, they will make sense to you. The five principles are the principles that you can easily match with one of the marketing orientations. It goes without saying.
You know,
Yeah.
Jaco, on the assignments and the tests, for me personally, I find it quite challenging when you give us like a case study about a McDonald's or whatever. I find it quite challenging to put it into perspective, the questions that you ask. I know if you work through it long enough, you get it, but it's quite challenging, eh?
Right, thank you for that. What I'll do then is, as we progress through our revision, I will try and do as many case studies as possible to get you to get into the habit of applying everything that we highlight in each chapter.
Yeah. That's just me. Maybe I'm just dope, but
no.
You know, maybe other people also. It really is. I mean, a straightforward question, I could figure it out. I can work it out. When it comes to a case study, it seems so broad. Like, why did McDonald's bring this product out, and how do they do it? You know, like it's.
I think it makes it tough. I think what makes it a bit tougher as well, Andre, is the fact that we are more than 30 students on this course, close to 40 as a matter of fact, and we all have different backgrounds, we all have different interests, we all have different characteristics and strengths and weaknesses and specific needs and wants. And because they're all different, one person can very easily find a case study easy because it's within their scope of interest. And it might not be, and some people have never been exposed to maybe going through a buying decision because they stay with their parents and they don't engage in any of those transactions, or have not yet, because it's always been done for them. So there are different, and this is part of the challenge of getting your head around certain concepts. I'll try and, as I said, apply it as far as possible to as a greater variety of case studies as possible. And therefore, again, I can only help you if you come to sessions prepared. When you ask a question, ask me a question that and indicate to me in what particular environment you are comfortable with, because then I can offer you a solution that you can relate to. I think that's the important thing. A lot of things people can't relate to because they haven't experienced it, and as a result of that, it makes it very difficult for them to creatively come up with an application. But it is a skill that that we get used to over time, and the more we do it, and what I've said at the start of the module as well, let's try and be more observant as individuals in what we do every day. Let's try and find case studies within our own experiences every day. Next time you go to a shop, see if you are consciously or subconsciously applying some of the aspects that we will deal with in chapter 3 on how consumers behave and how consumers react to certain situations. See if the noise in the background or a specific colorful presentation influences your decision positively or negatively. Because that's how we learn. We learn by gaining more knowledge, and that's why I said it's important that you expose yourself to as much information as possible on a daily basis. And I think I'm going to try and apply that with our case studies as a way of exposing you to a greater variety of topics by every day, starting on Wednesday, starting off with something that is current and that's in the news, regardless if you found it on your social media platform, or if you saw it on the television, or if you read it in an article or a magazine, online, or in a magazine or in the newspaper. You have to become, you have to increase your general knowledge, because the greater your general knowledge is, and I can see that. And the reason why I say that is I experience it on a daily basis in my own household. Both my sons, the one loves reading, he's like a sponge, and he's just absorbing more and more and more information. And all of us have that. All of us have that. We just start tempering it later in our lives. It's almost as if when we're young children, yeah, what's the most annoying, and I know most of you are not parents yet, but ask your parents when you see them later today. What's the most annoying question that you constantly used to ask as a child? Why? Why? Don't do that. You get why? Do that. Why? You've got to go study. Why? Have you done your homework? No. Why not? Okay. You get those questions. That's the question that's most repeated. And every why gives you more information because the other person replies, right? Sometimes the explanation is elaborate, and sometimes it's not just a one-sentence answer or a one-word answer. My dad used to never, ever use that, and I know that. I think he hated it because his dad was like that, my grandfather. Why must I do this? Because I said so. No, that's not good enough.
That's not enough.
Okay. That doesn't help. That doesn't. You don't have more information that you can use from that. And as a matter of fact, you're just going to keep on asking because you're getting that response. So he always encouraged us to ask why if we don't know. And based on that, I think I grew up with a greater amount of information than many others. And I know that circumstances influence that, and many of us are in situations where we actually didn't have a father or a mother, or sometimes even both, when we were growing up. It makes it very difficult. But there's also, remember when we did chapter 3, the reference groups, there are also people that you look up to. There are people whose opinions you value, people that you aspire to be like, and we all have people like that in our lives, as friends or as colleagues, or but we have that. That's a resource for information, because we. But I just encourage all of you to improve your general knowledge, because it will prepare you better to deal with these challenges. I'm going to try and get ourselves a topic every day. While we're on that, who watched Friends last night, the reunion? And I know I'm going to get the Friends, what's Friends? Friends is the soapie that has aired the most. It was from 94 to 2004. It was the most watched television series every year for 10 years running. And then they aired the last time in 2004. They had a reunion with all the actors last night. Actually, I saw the streaming on Thursday already, but it was on MNet last night. And still today, people, whatever medium is used to stream, Netflix, you can, whatever, Showmax, anything, it is still the most watched series, even if it doesn't run at the moment. So, yes, if you don't know that, you're not reading enough. Okay, so find opportunities for you to improve on your general knowledge, because it will help you to apply many of the concepts that we actually deal with in this module. Right. We will return on Wednesday. We will quickly wrap up chapter 1 because there's not a lot left that is not revisited in more detail in chapters following. But I want you to prepare chapter 2 for me. Read through your slides, read through your notes, even if you just browse through it, to get an understanding and see, oh, shucks, yeah, it's this thing. I'm not 100% sure about that. Make a note of that, because we will deal with your specific challenges and requests for each chapter from Wednesday on. Okay. Any questions, anybody?
Thank you. Good, thanks.
Right. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll chat again on Wednesday. Thanks, Candace, Tiffany, all of you.